Hello and welcome, everyone. I am so glad that you could join me here today. This webinar is all about protecting yourself and your loved ones from scams that are targeting seniors. As I'm sure you are all aware, scams are on the rise and scammers are getting smarter. But there is good news. Knowledge is power, and that is what I hope to share with you today. I had the pleasure of interviewing a retired police officer who has seen firsthand how these scams operate. And by the end of the session, you will be able to spot red flags, protect yourself, and know exactly what to do if you or someone you know is targeted. I will also be sharing an outline at the end of the webinar with everything that we're covering tonight, as well as some of the important phone numbers and websites that he provided to me. So let's get started. First question I asked him is, what is the number one scam seniors should be on the lookout for? And he said one of the biggest scams that are affecting seniors today is the imposter scam, specifically the government impersonation scam. Scammers pretend to be from Social Security office, Medicare, or the IRS, and they claim that there is an urgent problem, something like unpaid taxes or a suspended Social Security number. They use fear tactics and demand immediate payment or your personal information. Another major scam he mentioned is the grandparent scam. And this is where scammers pretend to be a grandchild in trouble. Maybe they've been arrested or stranded in another country and they need money immediately. They sometimes even will use an AI voice that replicates the grandchild. Those scammers are playing on the emotions and the urgency to get the seniors to act before they can verify the story. I asked, why do scammers specifically target older adults? He said that scammers go after seniors because they often have retirement savings, home equity, and good credit. And many of them grew up in a time when they trusted people, which is nice, making them more likely to believe authority figures. Now, some seniors are not as tech savvy as others, which makes them easier targets for online scams. He said, additionally, isolation can make them vulnerable. Scammers use loneliness to manipulate people into those romance scams, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I asked, have senior scams increased in recent years? Because it sure feels like it. And if they have, why? And he said, absolutely. And here's why. More seniors are online using email and social media, which is fantastic, as that should be. But unfortunately, that has increased scams. And then AI and deep fake technology allow scammers to mimic voices or create fake identities. And then COVID-19 pandemic created a bunch of new scams like fake vaccine offers and stimulus check fraud. Economic instability means scammers pry on financial fears, offering fake investment opportunities and even some debt relief scams. I asked if there are any new emerging scams that people should be aware of, and he said, of course, there are several that you should be on the watch out for. First one is the AI voice cloning. This is where scammers now use AI to mimic a loved one's voice, like I was talking about with the grandparent scam, making those imposter scams even more believable. There's also romance scams on apps. This is where scammers build fake online relationships to gain trust and steal money. There's going to be a story about that in a little bit. There's also tech support scams, and those are fake virus warnings that pop up on screens, urging victims to call a tech expert who then steals personal information. I've seen these not only on email, but via text messages. And then cryptocurrency scams are also on the rise. Scammers convince seniors to invest in fake Bitcoin opportunities. It already feels like a lot and is already heartbreaking. So then I also asked, how do scammers usually make contact? What should we be on the lookout for? And he told me that scammers use multiple methods to reach their victims. One is actual phone calls, fake social security or tech support robocalls. They're calling from the IRS, they're calling from Social Security. They are fake and they are robocalls. He said, email. Your account's been compromised. Click on this link to secure it. I know I have received those type of scams myself. Text messages. I've seen this one a lot. Your package delivery is delayed. Click here to track. And you're thinking, oh, somebody sent me a package. No, it's a scam. Don't click on the link. Social media scams are on the rise. Fake friend request, lottery scams, or those romance scams that we've kind of addressed already. And then even in-person scams are happening, posing as contractors, utility workers, or charity representatives. Whew. What are the best ways that seniors and their families can protect themselves from scams? Here are some simple but powerful steps to take. He said, never share personal information over the phone unless you initiate the phone call. You have made that phone call, not somebody calling you. Verify before you act. Call the real company or agency directly. If somebody calls you and says, hey, your account's been compromised, this is Wells Fargo, we need your password, say, you know what? Thank you. I will go ahead and hang up and I will call you back with that. If it's a scam, they're not going to like that. If it's truthful, they're going to have absolutely no problem with that. You can also use blocking apps called Nomorobo. It's Nomorobo to filter scam calls. I was not familiar with that. And then you can enable that two-factor authentication on bank or email accounts. That was hard to say, where two different times they have to verify who you are. And then you can discuss those scams openly. Please don't isolate yourself. Isolation makes seniors even more vulnerable. Getting out there and telling people that you feel like you've been scammed can make a world of difference. And of course, it is a no judgment zone. So, what if you have been scammed? What should you do? He said, if you suspect a scam, you do need to act fast. You need to stop all communication with the scammer. Listen to your intuition. If it feels like you've been scammed, go with that little voice and immediately stop all communication. You should report it to the FTC. And I will give you the actual website in order to report that to, as well as the FBI and or your local police department. They are aware of these senior scams being on the rise, and they do want to be made aware that you might have been scammed. You can contact your bank and make sure you contact your bank immediately. Quick action may help recover those funds. Place a fraud alert on your credit reports. Also, you should have your credit reports locked. We'll talk a little bit more detail about that, but place that fraud alert on your credit reports. And then talk to a trusted friend or family member for support. Remember, you're not alone. We are all here to help. Please do not isolate yourself. I asked him, what is one of the worst scams that you've seen happen to a senior in our community? And my dogs are about to bark, so hold on there. It's okay, puppies. And he said that one of the most heartbreaking cases involved an elderly woman who lost $50,000 in a romance scam. She believed she was in a relationship with a military officer overseas who needed money for medical expenses. And after sending money multiple times, she realized it was a scam. But unfortunately, by then, it was just too late. $50,000 is a lot of money. They were preying on that romance scam. They were preying on isolation, loneliness, attention, all of those things combined with that scammer in order for them to get that $50,000 out of that woman. Just absolutely heartbreaking. Some resources that I am going to add to the outline for you to have will be the AARP Fraud Watch Network. I'll provide that phone number. There's an elder fraud hotline that's a part of the FBI. I will provide that phone number for you in the outline that I'm happy to send. There's the FTC Consumer Protection site that I will provide to you. And then as well as the Better Business Bureau Scam Tracker. They actually have their own scam tracker that I will provide that site for you. Another question I asked him, are scammers individuals or do they operate as part of a larger network? And I was surprised, but he actually said both. Some scammers work alone, but many are a part of an international fraud ring operating scam call centers, and those are especially located in India and Nigeria. Some common red flags that are going to indicate a scam or that you have a scam call or email or even text. And that first one is urgency. The urgency of either the phone call, the email, you've got to ask back fast, something bad's going to happen, your grandchild's going to be put in jail, etc. Urgency. They also love secrecy. Don't tell anybody. Remember, they like that isolation. That's how they feel that they can get to you. Some unusual payment methods. Send me a gift card, do a wire transfer, send some cryptocurrency instead of actual money. Those are all unusual different types of payments that they might ask for. And then caller ID spoofing. The number's going to look official, but it isn't. I had a scam where Wells Fargo called me. It looked like it was a Wells Fargo number when it came up on my caller ID. It felt a little bit scammy. There was some urgency, got a little bit cranky with me when I said I wanted to call back and check and confirm. And all of those things put together was a scam. Immediately called Wells Fargo and they were like, yeah, that is a scam. Some financial safeguards that seniors can put into place, and guess not just seniors. I don't like to consider myself a senior, and I should put these into place as well. But you should set up a bank account alert for unusual withdrawals. You can go directly to your bank to set that up in whatever amount you feel right. You can use a trusted power of attorney for financial decisions. So if seniors are feeling like they're being taken advantage of, maybe add that trusted power of attorney to help with some of your financial decisions. And I mentioned this earlier, but you should freeze your credit reports to prevent identity theft. Go in there, freeze your reports. If somebody tries to use your social security number in order to get a credit card, you are going to be notified and they won't give that person the credit card because your credit report has been frozen. Some questions that you can ask to identify a scammer. Can I verify your identity? The scammer is going to hesitate because they don't want you to verify their identity. They don't want you to hang up and then verify that this is actually not a scam. Can you send this request in writing? If you ask that to a scammer, they're going to say no. Legitimate agencies will have absolutely no problem putting something in writing for you. And then another question to ask is, why do you need my personal information? The scammers are going to get very defensive about you asking that information. Anything that's legitimate, they are not going to probably ask for your personal information over the phone unless you initiated the phone call. How can you tell a bank email or a text is fake? So we've all received those emails and or the text where we're like, this feels like this could be fake. Some things that are key takeaways to tell that it's fake is misspellings or odd grammar. Even misspelling sometimes of your name would be a great way to show that it is a fake or scam email. A link that doesn't match the bank's real website. And you have to be very careful. Remember, these scammers are getting very smart and it can look like it's all legitimate and there might be just one little thing wrong with that website. So slow down and don't click too fast. And then urgent threats like your account will be closed in a text message or an email is a surefire way to know that it is a scam. I ask, what's the first thing a senior should do after clicking a scam link? And his answer was disconnect from Wi-Fi to prevent malware. Immediately disconnect from your Wi-Fi. Know that we all make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. Just be quick and disconnect. Run the antivirus software on your device. Change your banking and email passwords immediately. If that means that you've got to go into the bank, do that, or pick up the phone and call them and say, I need to change some of my passwords immediately. I think I've been scammed. How do I do that? Scammers are always coming up with new ways to trick people, but by now you should be a little bit more armed with knowledge to stop them in their tracks. The best way to fight scams is through awareness and action. Please share what you've learned today with your friends and family. I'm going to send out this link so that you'll have it recorded and you can feel free to share it as well as the outline that I'm going to send you. If you share the information, it could save someone from financial disaster. Again, thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Thank you so much. As always, I'm here to help.